What I want to dwell on today is the gift of the present. Pun intended. How many of you remember long car journeys as a child? Don't know, didn't have any. I certainly remember long car journeys taking our children from Canberra to Melbourne or wherever we happened to go. And of course the chorus that you get from the children after a couple of hours is, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" I'm bored, yes. In the end, we tried all sorts of things to entertain our children on long car journeys, and what we ended up with was audiobooks. Audiobooks worked wonders in a way that some other things just didn't seem to. So we know the impatience that we experienced as children. We know the impatience that our children experience. But I have to say that as a parent, I too experienced impatience. You seem to get bogged down as a parent in the stage of life that you are in. There's always something about the children that you are having to deal with. It begins with sleepless nights. It's then endless nappies, tantrums, interruptions, endless questions, arguments, and then, of course, teenage silences. Every time of a child's life for a parent has its own particular trials. And as I went through that journey, I noticed something about myself. I noticed the way that I looked forward to, won't it be great when the kids have grown up? They're a bit more mature. They can handle all of these things. I got impatient. But then I also noticed something else quite interesting. I started yearning for the past. You know, you think of that time when the kids are argumentative and you think, wasn't it lovely back when? You know, back when they would walk down the road holding my hand, all those sorts of things. So we have this rather interesting process that goes on. We yearn for the process to hurry up and complete itself, but then we start to yearn and hanker for the past as it was. And the thing is that both of those, that impatience for the future and the yearning for the past, rob us of the joy in the present. At one stage in our lives, the kids seemed to take me sitting down at the piano as cue for, Dad's free. He's available to do stuff. And I wanted to sit down and play the piano. And I always seemed to get interrupted. And it used to endlessly frustrate me. Here I am, I've got 5 minutes to myself. I can sit down at the piano and there's a question or can you help me with homework and all that sort of stuff. But then it wasn't too long before I started to miss those interruptions. And you can see how that impatience and that yearning for the past can prevent us finding the joy in the moment. So every stage of parenthood has its challenges and its frustrations, but it also has its joys. And I think we miss out on so much if we are constantly yearning for the future or yearning for the past. Now, I think there's nothing wrong to looking forward to certain things. I know the anticipation of a holiday, for example, is something that helps us get through a difficult present and all the things, you're tired at work and you've got so many things to deal with. That looking forward to a holiday is such a lovely feeling to help get you through that time. So there's nothing wrong with that anticipation, looking forward to something. But it would be a shame if we miss the joy to be found in the present if we are constantly thinking about the future or the past. And what I want to particularly say about difficulties and trials and temptations is that as hard as they are for us to go through, they're actually there to help us prepare for a better future. And because of that in itself, they're worth fully engaging with. Now, I want to read something from the teachings of the church. I've found a reasonably long passage, but I think you'll understand what it's saying, and I hope you can see the value in it. This is from Heavenly Secrets. The paragraph number is 3318. A person is nothing other than an organ or vessel which receives life from the Lord, for we do not live of ourselves. The life flowing in with the person from the Lord comes from his divine love. This love, that is, the life from it, flows in and applies itself to the vessels that are in our rational and that are in our natural. On account of the hereditary evil into which every person is born, and on account of the evil of his own doing, these vessels are set the wrong way round for receiving that life. But insofar as it is possible for this inflowing life to do so, it resets those vessels to receive it. When therefore these vessels, varying in the forms they take, are set and turned, as has been stated, the wrong way round for inflowing life, they clearly have to be repositioned to receive that life, that is, to be controlled by it. This cannot possibly be effected as long as the person remains in that condition into which he was born, or which he has brought upon himself. Indeed, at that time they are unsubmissive, because they resolutely withstand and harden themselves against the heavenly order governing the way that life acts. Indeed, the good which moves them and to which they are subservient is that which stems from self-love and love of the world. From the dull warmth it contains, that good makes these vessels what they are. Consequently, before they can be made submissive and capable of receiving any life that belongs to the Lord's love, they have to be softened. The only way that such softening can be achieved is by temptations. For temptations take away the things that constitute self-love and contempt for others in comparison with oneself. Consequently, that constitutes self-glory and also hatred and revenge on account of these. When, therefore, they have to some extent been subdued and mellowed by means of temptations, those vessels start to become yielding and compliant to the life which belongs to the Lord's love and which is constantly flowing in. This is the reason why a person is regenerated, that is made new by means of temptations, or what amounts to the same, by means of spiritual conflicts, and after that receives an inward disposition different from before, that is to say, becomes gentle, humble, single-minded, and contrite at heart. From these considerations one may now see the use served by temptations, which is that good from the Lord may not only flow in, but also render the vessels subservient, and so join itself to them. And at Christmas time, when we celebrate the coming of the Lord into the world, there is a particular relevance to our lives in the struggle and the trial and the temptation. Far more than the happy times and the good times and the easy times. Because the Lord's coming into the world represents the beginning of our victory over those temptations. And the Lord's coming into the world is the thing that makes our victory possible. Without the Lord coming into the world, we would not be able to overcome. We would not have the possibility of life getting better. We would not have the possibility of overcoming difficulties and trials as we do. So, this Christmas, I'm going to ask you just to be present. Be present with the happy times, the good times, the enjoyable times. Remember to stay where you are instead of thinking of some distant future or some longed for past. Look for the good and the joy that you find here and now. But also, in those difficulties, in the trials that you face, remember to stay present in those too. And remember that the Lord came into the world so that you can overcome them and so that life might become better because of them. Let's just stay present. And remember that the present is a gift.